Hello, folks. My name is Coach Shanelle, and I am happy that you tuned in again today. If you are new to me, I am a success coach, a speaker, and a four-time author. What I do is I help women to level up and live a better life. I offer coaching, training, online and in person events to help you build confidence, to help you boost your income, and to help you crush your goals. What I'm going to be talking about today is five things that crush your confidence. Again, five things that crush your confidence. This broadcast is for you if you are trying to build confidence and are not sure where to get started. This broadcast is for you if you've been a confident person and lately you're starting to see that your confidence is lagging and you're trying to figure out where your confidence might have been crushed. This broadcast is for you if you are trying to start a new project or goal and you're just trying to boost your confidence in the interim and looking for some new skills or some new knowledge to help you along the way, then this broadcast is for you. This broadcast is for you if you are generally just trying to be in an area of self improvement, trying to build a better life, or trying to just be a better version of yourself, then this broadcast can also be for you. With that being said, I do want to go ahead and get started. I don't want to keep you folks too long. Again, our topic today is five things that crush your confidence, right? So let's roll with it and go straight into number one. One is definitely powerful, and it is overthinking it, right? Overthinking it. And some of you are already like, yes, I know, right? Because you know that that is your issue. You know you have a tendency to get to a point where you're starting to try to start something new, or you're trying to accomplish a goal, or you're trying to make more money or get a new job, and you already start overthinking it right after you start to tackle that new thing, right? And so what are some things that you do when you overthink? Well, first of all, when you start to overthink things, you start to twist your thoughts within your mind. And what happens as a result of that is that you start to perceive reality much different than it really is, right? And so you can keep twisting your thoughts over and over again till you get to a point where you start to actually feel like that is what's really going on, right? And we can give ourselves those false signals within our body that things are different than they actually are in reality. What do I mean? It means that something that may seem new to you, it may make you feel a little bit anxious. You'll start to overthink it to the point that you start to be so afraid that you can get stuck and paralyze yourself from getting started, right? And so something that should have just been something that concerns you ends up being something that frightens you, right? And so you send this false signal to your body to fear this thing when it actually doesn't cause you any harm, right? And so what we want to do when we get to the point of overthinking is we start to get to a point where we start to say, what is the real threat here, right? It's one of the things that I love to say to myself because I used to deal with anxiety. Mine was mainly directed towards socializing, so I had a lot of social anxiety. However, what would end up happening is I would get to a point where I would start to overthink things, and I would actually feel like heat because I was starting to get nervous and I would start to overheat, and I would start to kind of just freeze. And I had to start to get to the point where say, what was the fear here? And started to realize, why was I afraid to interact socially with people? Why was I afraid to speak in front of big crowds? And when I started to understand the fear, then I could actually dial it back and start to realize that there wasn't much of a threat there at all. I just had to boost my skill level, and I had to get to a point where I got more comfortable doing it. And the way in which I got to a point of doing that was to continue to keep practicing it, right? And anytime I get to a point where I feel like I might be anxious in a social setting, or I feel like I might be anxious before I go to speaking, I do a prayer, or I have someone else pray over me, pray for no nerves, no worry, no anxiety or stress, anything that would impact the flow of the message that God has for me to deliver, right? And when I say those words to myself, or somebody speaks those words over me, I immediately start to relax, right? And another thing, if I'm in a moment where I have to do it really quickly, say if I'm presenting or if I'm in a work situation, what I repeat to myself internally, don't say it out loud if you're at work, I say, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of until I start to relax. Again, I say this internally, so please don't say it's nothing to be afraid of really loudly at work because people might start to stare a little bit. But um, overthinking can cause you to worry about things that aren't really a threat. Overthinking can twist your thoughts and make things seem bigger than what they are. Overthinking can take something that should be a concern and make it a fear or a threat when it really doesn't have any impending danger towards you. Okay, so let's make sure that we not overthinking and start to get to a point where we're not taking action on things and we're not believing in ourselves and moving forward because we are just overthinking it, right? And I found in business, oftentimes what stops a lot of people is they tend to overthink it, right? It's usually much simpler to solve than what they think it might be, and they just overthinking it and worrying themselves for no reason. All right, number two, comparing yourself, right? Okay, the comparison game is one that you are just never going to win. It doesn't go well no matter who is doing it, right? Here's the issue with comparing yourself. First, you don't understand somebody's path or the journey that they took to get to where they are, right? And so sometimes you might be comparing where you're at right now to where somebody else is, and they might have had 10 years of preparation before they got to that point. They might have failed multiple times and tried a bunch of different avenues before they got to that point. Sometimes you can also look at the end result and not really understand the strategy that they use behind it to get there. And so you're comparing something where you might have just started and you don't have the pieces in place to somebody's full picture and their end result, right? And so what is the other problem with comparing yourself? Comparing yourself tends to take the actual attention off of you and put it onto something else that doesn't actually help you to succeed, right? And so when you are concentrating your efforts on comparing yourself to somebody else or somebody else's progress, what it ends up doing is it blocks your view of your own strengths, your own authentic gifts, and your own personality and your own style of doing things. And as a result, we don't get to see the best parts of you because you're too busy trying to be like someone else or trying to beat someone else. And what we want, and I'm saying as, the person that you might be pitching to, the person that you might be selling to, the person that you might be offering your services to. What we're looking from a consumer standpoint is we want to see something that you bring uniquely to the table. And you can't do that when you're trying to compare yourself to someone else, right? I don't know who this message is for, but for somebody, you need to hear that. Stop comparing yourself to other people and allow your gifts and your unique abilities and authentic personality to shine through because that is what people are looking for. Confidence is so big. And people are attracted to confident people, but what they're also attracted to is authenticity, right? And so even if you are stumbling a little bit, if you are authentic and you are passionate about what you're doing, people will be attracted to that energy, right? Because there's so many people who are out here faking it and people are tired of that, especially online. If you haven't watched the news stories this year, so many people are getting outed for being frauds, right? And people are so tired of people coming online and selling something that they're not. And then people are investing their time, their money, their energy with them and finding out that they were a fraud, right? And so resist the urge to compare yourself to other people because you don't know their full story. And it also is putting your energy into an area that you don't need, and it detracts from your strengths, right? And so we're going to stop with the comparison game. It's just not a game that you can win, and it's not fruitful at all for anybody, okay? All right, so that was number two, comparing yourself. Number three, negative self-talk, right? And I talk about this all the time on the channel, but negative self-talk can definitely crush your confidence, right? So some of you have this and you know that you do because you go to start things and you start to say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be the right one for this. How can I get that done with just a little bit of resources that I have? Why would they pick me? It must be a mistake. Maybe they're going to find out later on that I'm not really the person that they want for this, right? And so you start to count yourself out mentally, emotionally, before you even get started, right? And you start to play this negative tape back to yourself. And what's the problem with negative self-talk? As you start to continue to play that dialogue within yourself, what happens is it starts to really affect your thoughts. And unfortunately, your thoughts, if you continue to play those, they will eventually start to reflect in your actions as well, right? And so a lot of people I know that hear a lot of negative self-talk and aren't doing anything to redirect those thoughts or to change that mindset. They find that they start to have their energy depleted. They find that they start to achieve less, and they find that they tend to not be in the space in life that they want to be in, right? Because after a while, that dialogue became so real that they can't hear themselves, their authentic voice within, right? And I will tell you, sometimes that negative self-talk can come from your past. It can come from a previous relationship that didn't go so well. It can come from a history of abuse. It can come from being in a toxic work situation. It can come from some childhood experiences of bullying and those sorts of things. And so a lot of people have to work at that, but you do need to get into a point where you're starting to replace some of that negative self-talk with some positive words, some encouragement, some support. And we just did something on the channel about affirmations. If this is something that you struggle with, I guarantee that that affirmations video will help you. Feel free and go ahead and listen to that. It's on the channel. But negative self-talk is our number 3 way to crush your confidence, right? Okay. And so I always teach people to be kind to yourself, right? You are with this mind, this body, and this spirit for only so much time on this earth. There is no reason why you need to beat yourself up. You are the person that you spend the most time with, right? And so you want to take care of your vessel. You want to be nice to yourself in the way in which you treat yourself, you treat your body, you speak to yourself, whether that is internally within your mind, within your heart, or the way that you express yourself uh, externally as well, right? And so negative self-talk can be spoken verbally when you say things like, I'm so stupid. I always get this wrong. You know, I can never succeed. I'll never get to do anything better. If you catch yourself saying things like that, that is also an example of negative self-talk, right? And so we want to try to stop that dialogue and redirect those thoughts with some positive affirmation, with some encouragement, and with some supportive people around us, right? Okay, and we're trucking right along. We're actually halfway through. Our number 4 is perfectionism, right? Okay, and so some of you people who are watching this are already saying, okay, yep, this one is me, because you know you are a person who feels like you need to have things perfect, and in your type A personality, you want everything to go according to schedule and according to your plans, and you fix and make everything perfect before it gets ready to launch. And here's the thing with that, right? People say, well, people who are perfectionists, I love them because they get things right and they do things at a high standard. But what also ends up happening with people who tend to have perfectionist tendencies is that they tend to also procrastinate on launching things because they wait for everything to be in order before they actually feel comfortable enough to launch. They tend to overthink, right? So that goes back to our number 1. And they tend to also hold themselves back from some things that they want to accomplish because they're always trying to get everything in order. They're always trying to hit a standard that sometimes is impossible to hit, and sometimes they're just putting way too much pressure on themselves to get everything done in a perfect order. And here's the thing. Life does not demand perfection of us, right? We just need to do the best that we can given the resources that we have at this current time, right? And so if you are constantly seeing that you're waiting for the right time, the right amount of resources, the right amount of team members, you know, all of these sorts of things, you'll start to realize that you are not getting as much done as you really need to get done. And so perfectionism may be something that's standing in your way, right? And so that is our number 4 is perfectionism, right? And how do we fight perfectionism? Well, we start to say that done is better than perfect, right? We set a different standard, which is not to have things perfect, but to have things in a place where we feel comfortable enough to launch. And if for some reason we find out that there's some things that we would like to change, we start to tweak along the way, right? And so again, done is better than perfect, tweak along the way, right? And so the first version does not have to be the final version, right? But let's at least launch the first version, right? And so think about some of the things that we use on a regular basis. Think about our cell phones, think about our TVs, our computers, our appliances. None of those are on the final version, right? And so you see new versions come out all the time, but they're constantly selling different things, right? And so there's nothing to say that you can't do something in its current form without it needing to be perfect. Make sure that you start to launch things. Again, I'm going back to that launching thing because it's one of my pet peeves is that people don't launch things because they think it's not perfect. Making sure that you are really taking advantage of opportunities and the time that you have by using the resources and leveraging them so that you can actually accomplish some things, right? We want to implement things. We want to take advantage of opportunities, and we want to be comfortable enough to say that we'll get this done and then we'll tweak along the way, right? And that's how we fight perfectionism. All right. And our last and our final is self-sabotage, right? Okay. And so this is one that gets a lot of people is that they want a better life. They want to do things differently. They're trying to be confident. But what ends up happening is they often sabotage themselves when they're getting closer to their goal, right? And where does that come from? Sometimes it comes from fear of what can happen when they succeed. Does that mean life will look differently? Does that mean they can't be around some of the friends and family members that they grew up around because they no longer fit in? Do they have to change their lifestyle because they're making more money or because they're in a different spot? Will it mean some lifestyle changes in terms of do they have to move to a different area? Do they have to do some different things in order for them to stay in a certain circle in order to have something in terms of a project or a company to really go well, right? And so sometimes this self-sabotage can come from an internal fear of what can happen to succeed. Self-sabotage can also come from a limiting belief that you are not worthy of success, right? You didn't earn it. You weren't the person who it should have been given to. Maybe you feel like you didn't put enough time in, or maybe you don't have a degree, or you didn't have a lot of money saved, or you didn't come from the best lifestyle, those sorts of things. And so we use all these things to count ourselves out. And when we get closer to our success, we start to get nervous and we start to feel uncomfortable with the changes. And sometimes we sabotage ourselves. How do we sabotage ourselves? Well, one thing is we start to get worried and fearful. And so then we get to a point of getting paralyzed and we're actually not launching things. We're over analyzing things and going through things really too harshly, criticizing ourselves and using, again, that negative self-talk. We can also self-sabotage ourselves by procrastinating. Every time we get close to a task, we keep procrastinating because there's something about the task where we're uncomfortable with. And so we just keep putting it off and off and off and off till we get to a point where it's so much time and we haven't reached our goals, right? And so self-sabotage is our number 5 way to crush your confidence, right? Okay. And so I am going to go ahead and recap really quickly. Again, our topic is 5 things that crush your confidence. Our first was overthinking. Overthinking. Our second was comparing yourself. Comparing yourself. Our third was negative self-talk. Negative self-talk. Our fourth was perfectionism. Perfectionism. Our fifth was self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. All right. And so again, for folks who are new to me, I am Coach Shanelle. I'm a success coach, a speaker, and a 4-time author. What I do is I help women to level up and live a better life. I offer training, coaching, online and in-person events to help you boost your confidence, to help you boost your income, and also to help you crush your goals. If you are interested in a coaching session, I'm going to put that link up here. You can go ahead and schedule a coaching session. What we do is we can either work on confidence building, we can work on boosting your income by creating a signature product, which infuses your authentic personality and unique gifts. We can start with a goal setting, a strategy to find out what your success formula is, what works for you to help you achieve your goals. Again, we can work on building your confidence with some different activities to see first where you lost your confidence and how we can get you into a better space so that you can build a better life and a stronger you. If you are if you're new to the channel or if you haven't seen, I do have my latest book out, which is the Ready for More workbook. It is a full color, 92-page Workbook, which is designed to build a better life and a stronger you. It takes you on a 60-day faith journey to help you to understand where you are right now, how you lost your confidence and how to build confidence, how to discover your mission for your life, and to write some goals that are in alignment with your greater purpose, to be able to hold yourself accountable to those goals, and to also learn some skills that can keep your confidence up, like boundaries, like core values and understanding how to communicate and advocate for yourself. That book is a perfect resource for you to go along with, to learn how to gather those skills, how to implement those skills into your life, and how to build yourself back up again. It involves activities. It has prayer. It has reflection moments. It has motivational posts in there. And for the month of March, we have a bundle with that workbook, which includes some note cards, some a pen, a highlighter to write down your aha moments, also some goal setting worksheets to help you to really write down your goals and start to hold yourself accountable. And then an accountability Facebook group, which allows you to have that support system to continue on with those skills that you learn. It is for a lovely price of $25, which is extremely cheap. The accountability sessions by themselves are worth way more in value than that. If you are looking for a change in your life and you're not sure how to get there, that is a great resource for you to use. Again, it comes with those other things for this month, and I guarantee you that you will benefit from it. I'm going to go ahead and put the link up to that on the screen. Again, this is where you can pick up that workbook bundle. It is $25 only for the month of March, which means you only have a week left to get that. After that, it will go up to full price. Again, this is the link, and it'll also be included in the description for this video as well. If you have any questions for me that are business related, feel free to go ahead and reach out to me via personal message. Outside of that, I wish you much love and success until we meet again. I look forward to talking to you soon. Again, this is Coach Shanelle. Take care, folks. Bye.